Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over the HK MR762A4. I think he's dead. I think we got him. Gentlemen, today we're taking a crack at this thing right here, a 308 rifle that was sent over by HK USA. They, of course, observing that I am a dancing YouTube monkey, sent a rifle to have on the channel, and of course, me being a gun fanatic, I couldn't resist the chance to take a look at this thing. I'm a big HK417 simp, is what I'm kind of realizing. In general, I'm a massive battle rifle simp. I think battle rifles are really cool. In practice, they do start to waver a little bit. That being said, I think they have turned into more of a DMR style of role in the modern era. That also to be said, if I'm gonna die, I may wanna die with a battle rifle. A lot to unpack, let's dive on in. Wow. Let's get some initial impressions with the MR762A4. First shots. Don't hate it so far. Now, when it comes to firearms that we can buy as civilians, I will say that the MR762A4 is definitely up there in price point for a 308 rifle and being what it is. You can, of course, find guns that are leagues and bounds more expensive, easily 10xing this thing, depending on what they are, whether they be a rare collector piece or an NFA item on the registry. That being said, I think we enter a realm here of this gun where it is definitely gonna probably in general outperform most of us on the market, seeing as what it is. I think knowing some of you guys out there, there are a few select of you that would get much merit from this firearm. And yet again, there is more to unpack there. Now, I will say that I have come to really enjoy the HK417, least the idea of it. There is a disclaimer. I am not someone that has ever been paid to run a 417. I don't own a legit 417. This thing, for all intents and purposes, is the 417 we have at home. HK has their military line of rifles, whether it's the 416 or the 417, and then they have their civilian line of rifles. With HK USA, probably seeing they want to cash in the civilian market. Historically speaking, the Germans over in HK probably don't really think too fondly of civilians in America with firearms. At least that's the vibe we get. All that to say is that like the HK from Germany, it feels like they always chase the government contracts, but now it seems like the HK USA factor is really trying to hunt down the civilian market of firearms owners. Because as Americans, we are massive consumers of firearms. Of the registered firearms, I think we own like half of the guns in the world, something like that. That's probably not an exact number, but I don't feel like fact checking it. You can fact check me in the comments if you so desire. Probably should. Yeah. Gentlemen, I gotta feed Colton this month. This video is sponsored by Americana Pipe Dream Apparel. Bunch of Zoomers like to sell you milsurp. It's pretty straightforward. They got a bunch of other cool stuff, night vision, knives, e-bikes, things that will take you far, let you see in the dark, and you can look like a total cool nerd while doing it. Don't just wear it in your mother's basement. Get out there, enjoy the weather. The weather's changing. It's not as hot as it was now. We're finally getting good weather in Arizona. Perhaps I will wear my niche camouflage I got from Americana Pipe Dream Apparel. Code ADMIN gets you 10% off at AP's website. And of course, we have to thank Optics Plan, the optics sponsor of the channel. And ammo was provided by Badlands Munitions, the ammo sponsor of the channel. Quite fitting. Homegrown ammo. How did they do it? I don't know. Getting back to the 417, I think as far as battle rifles go / DMR kind of precision platforms, I think the 417 is of the coolest in this department. Like the Assaulter 417, not only, I mean, yeah, it looks freaking sick, but I just love the idea of having like a well put together German built battle rifle. That to me as an idea, it's like, yeah, I'm sold. And you have the option of full automatic on the military version. On the civilian version, YouTube moderator, this has no option for that. Everything is legal. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Just go ahead and generate some shareholder value, okay? It's what they hired you for. Do your job. Now, militarily speaking, the 417 has seen a wide amount of use, whether it be military or law enforcement. There are plenty of photos floating around of very high-speed, cool guys in the US military running 417s in a slew of configurations and optics package setup. And even in the Army, they have the M110A1, the CSAS, the compact semi-automatic sniper system that's supposed to be like this good DMR setup for infantry. So the US has very much taken the 417 in general and kind of like folded it into its arsenal here and there. There's also a bunch of foreign militaries. Even for one of the builds in the video, one of the configurations I will say, in the video, it was inspired by pictures I was seeing of guys running those 7.62 ACOGs on top of their 417 while in Afghanistan, and in other settings as well. So despite its shorter lifespan as far as weapons go, technically, not necessarily in the overall general operating system, but as for what the gun is as the 417, it has seen a decent amount of use worldwide. And on top of that, law enforcement guys in a lot of these European countries have used it for their sniper teams, which I think makes a lot of sense for a very precision tool with good options in dispatching a law enforcement orientated threat. For those kind of threats, you're not really trying to push out to a mile, you're trying to like just really have a good pinpoint shot within, I'd say 200 yards is my guess. Arizona really do be the desert whaling lady state. Just looking around. Now, when it comes to the American consumer side of things, how does that translate to us? Well, ideally, in the perfect world, we could go into Walmart and buy a 417 off the shelf, ready to rock and roll. Right? SBR, like no SBR, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about any sort of NFA laws. You just get what you want. But we don't live in that world, okay? We don't get that heaven on earth. No, we don't. The roads in Arizona by Jean are not paved with 417s, sadly. But we do get to experience that with the MR762A4. Now, the engineering of the gun, I will say, nothing to shake a stick at. HK does deliver on the quality of this firearm. I think it is going to outlast my potential with it. And to run this gun to the same level that you would run like an AR, yet again, would be very expensive with that 308. And if you can already run it to that level, then chances are you have a good amount of money to where if you need to do barrel swaps or anything like that, it's not that big of a deal, because I think it has to do with the chrome lining of the barrel that is non-existent. That can be a hot point of contention amongst a lot of folks when it comes to HK guns because they don't do the chrome lining in the barrel. Now, the barrel itself is cold hammer forged, but it's made of the same material that cannon barrels are made out of, is what they were saying, which is kind of insane to think about. Like, okay, I guess technically you're shooting a mini cannon. I don't know. Technically all guns are mini cannons, right? Now, the tolerances, I will say, are very impressive. Like on the AR upper and lower, I was getting absolutely zero wobble. And you know, it's not the end of the world, but I do appreciate that that is not the case here. Just a nice tight fitting upper and lower receiver. Because on some ARs that I have handled and even that I own, there is a little bit of wobble. Nothing. Like a toy. Now, the tolerances, I will say, not the end of the world, but they do kind of compound over time with like a machine. Like just good, well-built tolerances will help with keeping this thing going for a much longer time, which is nice. So it's kind of like you are doing the buy once, cry once kind of thing. Now, when it does come to cost, how does this thing stack up to other guns in its department? This is one I was really excited to get to because being someone that is very passionate about the battle rifle, I am one that is also like, all right, where does this practically fall? Not only within the reality of my budget, but the reality of the theoretical end of the world situation you'd be using it in. That's kind of where I like this game theory scenario. So, HK MR762A4. To me, out of the box, in my mind, this gun really is already kind of at that spot of you're probably gonna put some kind of magnified optic on it. Probably gonna really lend itself to being a DMR, more so like a designated marksman rifle with some bigger, more beefier glass. We can really see out to further distances. The gun, in my experience, was rather finicky with certain types of ammo. It wasn't as forgiving as other 308 battle rifles that I've ran. And I was trying to run some M80 ball on the range and it was just getting malfunction after malfunction. We had to get real ghetto with it, with getting that round out. There's only a little line going all the way down the barrel. No. That's how we YouTube review around here. To me, that kind of lends itself to being a more picky style of eater, so you're gonna be running those good match grade rounds so you don't have that problem of reliability. Yeah, I work for Administrative Results. I thought this job would be exciting. You know, I wanted the adventure of it. It turns out Arizona by Jean is very unforgiving. So I wouldn't necessarily want a vacation here, but if you're liking the mercenary work, I think it's a great job. Oh God, oh God. Well, besides my buddy got killed the other day. I miss him. Now, of the guns that we could really stack it up against, I think the biggest competition so far at this point in time would be the SCAR 17. With how I would run the SCAR 17, it would pretty much be like LPBO Red Dot Combo, how I have it set up right now. And even my SCAR 17 is in the 16-inch configuration. It's not even an assaulter build. I personally, for my use case, lean more towards the SCAR 17. The reason is I imagine running that battle rifle as a beefed up version of an AR-15, where you pretty much have all the same attachments that you could put on an AR-15. You just now are running a 7.62 by 51mm round. The reason I say that is because with this setup, there are a few drawbacks and a few things about it that I don't necessarily love, but I still think the gun is very, very good. Now, a big drawback to me is the magazine itself. It is robust. Sure, people have had their problems with them over the years being used, but the biggest problem is the overall size of the thing. When you compare it side by side, the magazine is massive, and using it in conventional pouches becomes a whole headache. This thing's pretty much like a BAR mag. Now, when you compare that to a SCAR 17 mag, which very much looks like an FAL mag, you can tuck those things into 308 pouches, no problem. If you're running these, you're gonna have to get some very specific pouches for them. Is that the end of the world? No. When it comes to stacking mags though, it becomes a problem because these are so beefed out. Your kit's gonna become so beefed out that it could be an issue. Now, if you're running it as like a DMR, where you're more further back from your guys that you're covering down, you're not necessarily expected to be dumping round after round of suppressive fire. You're trying to take precision shots, so it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But for how I wanted to run this in the hypothetical scenario, that's where it become a problem. I think what I would like to try is a SCAR 17 assaulter and a 417 assaulter and get a better picture of running both to really kind of fill out this idea. Because the whole idea is not just running a 5.56, but using a 7.62 by 51 for the merits of that round. Just a big old beefy slug that you can send down range. That's the big allure of the whole setup. I would say the one biggest downside for running either would be the lack of ammo that you could carry overall. That is a big benefit to the intermediate cartridge platforms as a whole. You can carry a lot of those rounds in comparison to the battle rifle rounds. I think an interesting thing to play with is when you see guys from pictures of the Global War on Terror, there are even some photos of guys running red dot magnifier combos on a 417. You know, it's a gun that I think most people picture using like a magnified optic on, and one thing I even think about is like maybe they're trying to go for even that much more overmatch against intermediate cartridges within a certain space, because clearly they're not expecting to take these hyper long shots from that platform, whereas if they're fighting guys that are using, you know, AKs, you know, they would be usually using the AR platform, but now say one guy is using a 308, it's like maybe it's that idea of they're trying to really dominate that space, because a lot of like fighting is just having an unfair advantage. That's how you want to fight. It's called sports. Like when you're fighting people with guns, ideally it's like, oh, you brought a knife? All right, I'm gonna pull out my handgun. Oh, you brought a handgun? I'm gonna pull out my machine gun. You know what I mean? Like that's like the idea. There's not supposed to be like a fair fight. Colton brought up a good point off camera, and the fact that one thing we don't really talk about is the rampant use of drugs in these conflict settings where you may be fighting bad guys that could be methed out of their mind and their body's not going to respond the same way to certain input, you know, whether it's a 5.56, maybe that 308 slug coming out is going to help put them down that much more efficiently. I think as it stands right now, I would probably run my SCAR 17, like I was saying, more like an AR, and take this thing and trick it out to be more of like a DMR type role. Got it kitted up as like an assaulter build right now because I just wanted to have some fun with it. But as it stands in my collection, that's probably what I'm gonna do. I think the platform itself shows that it has the quality for being that good precision rifle in a semi-automatic package to really kind of dominate those spaces. Now, my experiences with the gun personally, I think are somewhat interesting, and you gotta have some good, hard, critical self-reflection for. I don't think I am the best marksman by a long shot. I think there are guys out there far better than me. I think the gun itself outpaces what I would be able to do without a bunch of training. Like, I'm talking the style of training that you would want to go to like military courses for, or these instructors that are really squared away at long distance shooting and dialing that in. As it stands right now, I don't think I'm that guy by a long shot. Like, the gun's gonna outperform me long before I could probably catch up to outperforming it. Kind of a rough ballpark, not exactly 100 yards for the grouping, but we're using an EOTech with a shortened 3x magnifier. What I want to do is see what the grouping is from a very unsupported, like you just hit the prone. We're using the Badlands 175 hybrid, like shell shot case. I wanted to check it out of the MR762A4. Not necessarily a great scientific analog, but to be fair, I'm a big chimp on the flat range, so it works. Not gonna lie, boys, from that prone position, the gun was kind of beating me up just a little bit, where I was like, ooh, mama, you got some bite to you. Feeling kind of stout in that recoil department, unsupported shooting like that. Because of that positioning, it's like the top of the stock was just like hitting every time. My shoulder muscles were getting like meat tenderized. But I don't think the grouping is gonna be, I don't know, I'm optimistic, but I don't think it's gonna be amazing given the optics package I have set up for it. All right, 21 rounds. Getting a dirt bath. Observe my 21 shot group. The math's not adding up, but there's more holes on this than there should be. Did we shoot this before? We had to have shot it before because there's over 20 holes on this thing of 30 caliber size. What a shitty production. This is what I get for not paying attention in school during science class. I was too distracted by the girls I thought were cute. I should have gone to an all boys like Catholic school. Wait a second. All right, chat. So, per usual, I'm kind of retarded. I think we shot this target before because there's some big flyers, and I don't feel like I had any flyers, but this, if we're going off this is like a 20-ish, 21 count group, which with the red dot from about, I don't know, feels like 70, 80 yards away. You know, it's not anything impressive in theory. It's just like, all right, cool, you grouped it. But I mean, some of these are kind of showing up nice and tight, so that's kind of fun. I was just curious. I'm gonna try it out. You know what? I'll reward you guys. We'll blow up a gallon of milk in slow-mo. Perhaps of all of God's greatest sins, wasting perfectly good milk is one of them. It's okay, it's only whole milk. One rung below raw milk. Goodbye, milkman. I think I overpaid for it too because I bought it from Walgreens. I didn't feel like walking all the way back into the dairy aisle of a major store. It was like $4. Each one of these rounds is like $2.50, I think it is. $2.40, $2.50. When I started working, when I got into the workforce, minimum wage for me was like $7-something. I just pretty much blew an hour of my life force. I think it would be a good fit for some of you out there that are that guy, where you're like, dude, you know, say this AR-10 just isn't cutting the cheddar anymore, whatever platform it is, whatever 308 it is, and you're thinking like, I need something better, something with more precision, something with a little bit extra sauce to it, then I think that's where like an MR762A4 would come into play. Then I think that's where that money starts to become worth it, when you have reached a certain level of skill to where you are now necessitating that big leap in price. Like, in reality, I don't think most American shooters get the most bang for their buck from their AR build as is, whatever caliber it is. I think the amount of training and shooting you would have to be engaging in would have to be a lot to really get to experience the differences that would come with a lot of these different price points. And I'm sure HK417 won't like me saying that because maybe in their mind they're like, we want to sell a bunch of these. That's business, baby. I've been yapping a lot, haven't really gone over the gun. So the gun out of the box comes with the M-LOK rail, which is obviously much better suited for it, mainly because you have the cutout to get to your gas regulator. On this rail, there is no cutout, and getting to it is impossible. So right now I just kind of left it in neutral and running it unsuppressed. This, I would say, in general, I'd probably run it, but I really love the look of the HK quad rail. I think it's just a really fun look. The length of pull of the gun is very long, like all the way out. It's kind of ridiculous how long the gun can get. It's like borderline into musket territory. If I'm running armor, I typically keep the stock all the way collapsed just for that length of pull. I find it comfy. If I was gonna prone out, maybe I'd go a little bit longer. Yeah, it's actually fine. I mean, with a red dot, it's okay. The safety, I gotta give them props. Got a good crisp 45-degree throw. Ooh, nice and tactile. A lot of distance to travel with the charging handle. A good old trigger. Really nice. Out of the box, you're getting a good trigger. Ambidextrous controls, and then you have fencing on the inside bolt release, which I like. Even though on some conversions, they will get rid of that. I don't know. I may ask if I got it converted, I'd be like, just leave it. I don't mind it. Because like knowing my luck, it's like it could get interfered with if you're like at a range and you have to have your bolt open or something. I don't know, like training event. I don't know how many people do that actually. Could be a weird like operating procedure some people have. Or I may just cut it off. I don't know. With a lot of my guns that I run very hard, I typically will have some sort of Picatinny attached to the M-LOK so I can run a bipod. Did the same thing there. Just makes using a bipod that much easier. Now, the operating system of the MR762A4, you get a short stroke gas piston system. Same thing with SCAR 17. You really kind of get down to what your flavor is going to be. It's kind of funny in my mind, it's kind of like those two is kind of what it comes down to, because historically speaking, FN and HK have had a long rivalry going all the way back to the FN FAL, where it's like Germany's like, hey, you want to sell us some, going over to Belgium, like, hey, you want to sell us some FALs? And they're like, no, you just invaded our country not that long ago. And so they're like, fine, we'll do it ourselves. And they make the G3. I think it's fun. I think it's like a fun, like historical note. That's like, it's still going on to this day. It's like, do I want a FN SCAR 17 or do I want an HK MR762A4 or 417? Flavor, it's tough. I know I got some Teutonic guys out there. I also know I got some Belgian waffle enjoyers out there. Which way, Western man? Now, pop culture-wise, the MR762A4, it exists, but it's not as cool as what you would know it as, being the 417. I think the 417 has a much better screen presence. You think of movies involving Navy SEALs, you think of movies like 13 Hours, Captain Phillips, you got Zero Dark 30, there's a 417 in it. I think it was probably the same 417 in both movies, and maybe even the same one in 13 Hours, if I was willing to wager. Those are some movies at the top of my head. Video game wise, we are seeing 417s out and about. Like I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6 and I've been running the 417 in that, and I've really been enjoying it. Even though they classify the gun as a carbine and there's not like a designated battle rifle classification, which does bug me about video games when they do that. So that's kind of fun. Oh my God, my headshots are come check this out. I mean, we're only like 10 yards away. We got 3 hits right here. It only looks like 2, but I swear to God, that's 3 in there. Perhaps I'm becoming the surgeon with the MR762A4. Perhaps. Or perhaps not. It wasn't as good. Skimmed the top of his head. All right, so I've had this gun for a little bit, been shooting it, been trying it out, been wearing it around the house when no one's looking like a complete psychopath. I have come to a few conclusions and I have some thoughts and opinions. Some that would probably get me arrested in the UK, but nonetheless, we shall proceed. Now, like I've said, we've done a number of shooting with the gun, and I have it in its kind of last form, and that would be with this quad rail on it. I believe it's the 13-inch quad rail, because I wanted to get back to a certain look with the gun. And I love the HK quad rails. I think they're fun, I think they're cool. Are they a little bit heavy? Are they a little bit heavy? Yeah, they're a little bit heavier than M-LOK, I don't care. I'm gonna start taking a lot of raw milk to counteract my weakness so I can run it even better. We've been filming with the gun long enough for things to change within the firearms industry. At the start of filming with this gun, FN was still making the SCAR, but now they're ceasing production on like 3 of the models. I think they're still keeping like the short one going. So that's a big update. And then also, as well, HK USA didn't offer a 13-inch upper. Literally while I'm out here filming, I open up my phone and I see from PinPal's story that HK has announced and said it's okay to share Allahu Akbar. They said it's okay to share that they are going to be producing a 13-inch upper as well as a 13-inch rifle that they're going to sell. So this is two massive changes to a lot of the mentality of where I was at the start of filming the video and then where I'm at now. So, a lot of changes in the world. Reference the board. Put a board here, Colton. Nothing ever happens. Things are happening. Now, my big complaints with this is because of how I wanted to run it. It's in a 16-inch configuration, still very doable, but I love the idea of shorter 30 cal guns, whether they're 300 blackout or 7.62 by 51. So I love the idea of, in the future, snagging a MR762 assaulter build. Now, would I plan to do a video with it? Probably not. This one was already kind of hard to put together because I really wanted to run it through its paces. I would assume a lot of my thought process is going to transfer over to that gun, of what I think about it, and it's just gonna be probably one for the collection. I'll probably just snag an upper or something like that and then SBR the lower on this. So it will be redundant to make a video on that. So it's kind of like a catch-all. It's also a catch-all because we've already done like an HK417 on the channel a long time ago. Now, actually running and gunning with it, it was a light run and gun day. It wasn't like a full-on training course, just doing some basic stuff. It felt pretty solid. You know, you can definitely feel the weight, and I think if you're stacking on more and more mags, you'd be a little bit over encumbered. But it felt very doable. It was pretty fun. Like once you get flowing with the gun, it feels good. The AR controls feel good. Everything about it is pretty solid and dialed in. Now the big question is, due to the price tag, is it worth it? And my cop-out answer is it's kind of really up to you. I don't know all of your financial situations. If you're making buku bucks, then it's like, yeah, you got some disposable income. Or if you are balling on a budget, then probably it's not gonna be the gun for you, pal. Wait until you up your personal GDP, I suppose. Kind of a cop-out answer, but that's the nature of the beast. I think as far as the price tag, objectively, I think it does fall into the worth it category. I think if you are a serious shooter and you want a full-size cartridge, it's a good gun. Like it passes the sniff check from me. HK, FN, LMT, Knights Armament, you're dropping big money for those kind of guns, especially with the 308 cartridges. So I do think they all tend to be worth it. Now that being said, I don't have much time with the LMT, but seeing that the LMT is very well respected and battle proven, I think the LMT would also be worth it. Knights Armament, battle proven gun, very cult-like following, probably worth it. All of these kind of brands of guns have their cult-like following. So I will say you're probably gonna get your money's worth out of it. Well, how many it's like 4,000 rounds of like just ball ammo. It's probably close to the cost of the gun. Rough math, rough math. Gentlemen, this was a video about the MR762A4. It is a gun that far exceeds my talents, and I think it is a cool firearm, and I wanted to talk about it. I got nothing else for you. I will catch you all on the flip. Reference the board. Put a bold... Why can't I talk?